Audiobook title: A Journey Beyond the Stars, Chapter 00 to 04. Title: A Journey Beyond the Stars. Chapter 00. Prologue. In the vast expanse beyond the earthly realm, there exists a cosmos filled with endless wonders and conflicts. Within this ocean of stars, the fragile peace of humanity teeters on the edge of chaos. The world is divided. Earth and its colonies are caught in a desperate struggle for freedom and power. Space is no longer the final frontier, but a battleground where ideals clash, ambitions rise, and empires are built upon the broken dreams of the past. Yet, even in the darkest corners of the universe, hope still flickers like the glow of a distant star. The true path to peace lies beyond mere politics and warfare. It is hidden in the light of eternal wisdom, and it is here that a new journey begins, one that transcends the barriers of time, space, and even worlds. Tariq, a young man of humble origins from the deserts of Arabia, stood atop a dune in his homeland, gazing up at the night sky. He had always found solace in the stars, seeking answers to the questions that stirred within his heart. As he looked up, he saw not just distant suns, but endless possibilities, mirrors reflecting the world within himself. Tariq was a boy whose spirit was forged in the traditions of his ancestors, a descendant of conquerors and poets alike. He carried with him the courage of Tariq bin Ziyad, the wisdom of Hazrat Umar, and the patience of Salah ad-Din. Raised in a land where the sands whispered stories of the past, he had been taught the ways of justice, humility, and devotion to a higher truth. His father had spoken often of great heroes who embodied these virtues, men who had changed the course of history not through power alone, but through faith, wisdom, and justice. It was with these teachings that Tariq navigated his life, seeing beyond the ordinary to the spiritual and seeking always to align his actions with the sacred principles of Islam. Yet, as Tariq would soon discover, his path was destined to stretch far beyond the deserts and cities of earth, carrying him to the very stars themselves. One night, while lost in prayer beneath the wide expanse of the Milky Way, Tariq felt a strange sensation, an otherworldly pull, as though the heavens themselves were calling to him. The sky seemed to shimmer, and the air grew thick with a mysterious light that enveloped him. The ground beneath his feet vanished, and he found himself suspended in a boundless void. For a moment, Tariq felt as if he was being drawn into a maelstrom, a vortex that spun with the weight of countless worlds. When he opened his eyes again, Tariq was no longer in Arabia. He found himself aboard a colossal spaceship, a vessel so vast and intricate that it dwarfed the great cities he had once known. The lights and sounds around him were like nothing he had ever experienced, a cacophony of alien technology, mechanical hums, and voices speaking in languages he did not understand. The ship's name echoed through his mind: White Base. His surroundings were unfamiliar, yet he did not panic. Instead, he calmed his heart with the words of remembrance, *Diker**, for he knew that fear clouded the mind and faith brought clarity. As his senses sharpened, a voice spoke to him in his native tongue. It was a voice of warmth and authority, one that seemed to resonate within his very soul. "You have been chosen, Tariq," the voice said, "chosen to walk a path where many have fallen, to bring light where darkness prevails. You are no longer in your world, but in a place where your guidance is needed. Here, the struggles of man have found their way to the stars, and with them, their ignorance, pride, and war. It is your task to show them a better way, as taught by your prophet and the wise ones who came before you." Tariq bowed his head in acceptance, for he had learned to trust in the decrees of destiny. He quickly gathered his thoughts and realized that he was in the midst of a great conflict, a war between the Earth Federation and the Principality of Zeon, where colossal machines known as mobile suits waged battle in the void of space. Here, humans sought to resolve their disputes not with reason, but with weapons of destruction. The root of their strife lay in misunderstanding, pride, and the lust for power. These were things that Tariq understood well from the history of his own world. As he took his first steps aboard the White Base, Tariq felt a surge of energy flow through him. A translucent screen appeared before his eyes, displaying numbers and words in a language he had never seen before. It read: Name: Tariq ibn Rafi. Class: Mediator of Light. Level: 1. Primary attributes: *Faith, *10, unyielding belief, *Wisdom, *8, understanding of truth, *Justice, *9, unwavering sense of right, *Patience, *7, endurance in the face of trials, *Courage, *10, fearlessness born of faith, skills unlocked, calm the storm, ability to reduce tension in conflicts, bringing enemies closer to peace, shield of faith, a spiritual barrier that protects against harm, sword of justice, a strike imbued with the light of divine truth, cutting through falsehood. A voice echoed in his mind once more: "In this world, you will grow as you face trials, gaining wisdom and strength to guide others. Yet remember, the true measure of a man is not in his power, but in how he uses it. Follow the path of Sirat al-Mustaqim, the straight path, and you will be a light for others in these dark times. Tariq bowed again and set out on his journey. As he wandered the halls of the White Base, he encountered its inhabitants, Amuro Ray, the reluctant young pilot of the Gundam, Bright Noah, the steadfast captain burdened by the weight of command, Mirai Yashima, whose calm presence concealed deep concerns, and many others, each with their own fears, desires, and destinies. He saw in their eyes the same longing that he had seen in his own people, a longing for peace, for understanding, for a world free of tyranny. Tariq knew that the path before him was not merely about fighting in a war, but transforming the hearts and minds of those embroiled in it. With patience, wisdom, and a spirit dedicated to truth and justice, he would guide them toward a greater purpose. Thus began Tariq's journey beyond the stars, a journey to bring the light of Islam's timeless teachings to a world ensnared by darkness, to mediate disputes where weapons failed, and to show that true strength comes not from the might of a mobile suit, but from the clarity of a just heart. In a universe of steel and fire, Tariq would remind humanity of the higher truth that bound them all, echoing the words of Rumi. The light which shines in the eye is really the light of the heart. The light which fills the heart is the light of God. And with every step, Tariq would draw closer to fulfilling his destiny, one encounter at a time. Chapter 01. Encounter. The echoes of footsteps reverberated through the metallic corridors of the White Base as Tariq made his way forward. Though his surroundings were alien, his heart remained steady, guided by the remembrance of Allah and the teachings that had shaped his life. He could sense the tension within the ship, the unease that permeated the air. The crew had been caught in a struggle far larger than themselves, fighting against the forces of the Principality of Zeon, a conflict they had inherited without ever truly understanding its roots. Tariq soon found himself in a bustling area, where the crew went about their duties. Engineers worked tirelessly to repair the damaged mobile suits, while officers and soldiers moved with purpose, carrying reports and orders. Amidst the chaos, a voice broke through, loud and strained. "Amuro, we need you in the hangar immediately." Tariq turned to see a young man, barely older than himself, racing down the corridor. It was Amuro Ray, the Gundam's pilot. The boy's face was etched with exhaustion, his eyes burdened with a mixture of fear and determination. Tariq's gaze followed Amuro as he hurried past, and in that moment, their eyes met briefly, two souls in the midst of a greater trial, each seeking answers. Tariq's HUD flickered to life again, displaying a prompt. Quest unlocked. The burden of the pilot. Assist Amuro Ray in his struggle and guide him toward understanding the nature of his true enemy. Reward, plus 200 experience. Skill upgrade. Calm the storm. Without hesitation, Tariq followed Amuro to the hangar, where the colossal mobile suit known as the RX-78-2 Gundam loomed. Its white armor gleamed beneath the harsh lights, a symbol of hope for some and terror for others. Engineers swarmed around the machine, making last-minute repairs and adjustments as alarms blared, signaling an imminent attack by Zeon forces. Amuro climbed into the cockpit, his hands trembling as he grasped the controls. Tariq watched him for a moment, sensing the young pilot's turmoil. Amuro was more than just a soldier. He was a boy caught between duty and despair, forced to bear the weight of countless lives on his shoulders. Tariq took a deep breath and stepped forward, calling out to him. "Amuro," he said, his voice steady and calm. "Wait." Amuro hesitated, glancing down at Tariq with confusion. "Who are you? What are you doing here?" "My name is Tariq," he replied. "I am a stranger in your world, yet I understand your struggle. You fight because you must, but your heart is not at peace. You carry a burden that no one should bear alone." Amuro's eyes narrowed. "What would you know about it?" he retorted, his voice filled with frustration. "You think you can just come in here and—" Tariq raised a hand, cutting him off gently. "I do not claim to know all that you have endured," he said, "but I know the struggle to find meaning in conflict. I have walked paths where the only light was the hope of something better. You must understand, Amuro, that you are not defined by this war or the machine you pilot. There is a greater purpose waiting to be discovered, but only if you are willing to see beyond the hatred and fear." A notification appeared before Tariq, indicating a dialogue choice. Dialogue choice. 1. Speak to Amuro about the teachings of patience and inner strength. 2. Challenge Amuro's understanding of his true enemy. 3. Encourage Amuro to reflect on his personal reasons for fighting. Tariq chose the first option, knowing that Amuro needed calmness before he could see the truth. In my world, we are taught that patience is not merely the ability to wait, but the ability to remain steadfast in difficult times. To find peace within oneself is to have the strength to face anything, even in the midst of war. Amuro stared at him, as if trying to understand the weight of his words. "That's easy for you to say," he replied. "But patience won't stop a mobile suit from tearing you apart." "That is true," Tarek agreed. "But patience will allow you to act with clarity, even when faced with overwhelming odds. It will give you the time to see where your enemy is weak and where you are strong." The alarms blared louder, indicating that Xion's forces were drawing near. Amuro's gaze shifted to the Gundam, then back to Tarek. There was uncertainty in his eyes, but also a spark of hope, as if a small part of him wanted to believe that there could be another way. Tarek saw this, and his HUD updated with a new message. "Amuro's resolve has increased. Plus 100 experience gained." Before Amuro could respond, Captain Bright Noah's voice came over the intercom. "Amuro, prepare to launch. The Xion attack force is closing in fast." Amuro nodded reluctantly and closed the cockpit hatch, but Tarek's words had left an impression. The young pilot's expression had softened. The shadow of despair that clung to him just moments before seemed to lift slightly, replaced by a glimmer of resolve. As the Gundam's engines roared to life and it launched into the void of space, Tarek whispered a prayer for the boy's safety. Turning away from the hangar, Tarek felt a familiar presence. A woman with an ethereal beauty stood at the edge of the room, her eyes glowing with a serene light. She wore a flowing white robe that seemed to shimmer as though it was made from the very fabric of starlight. It was Layla Soon, a new type, a human with heightened perception and extraordinary abilities. "You speak of peace," Layla said softly as she approached him. "But do you really believe that it can be found in this war?" Tarek looked at her, sensing the depth of her sorrow and the burdens she carried. "I believe that peace can be found in the heart, even in the midst of war. It is not about escaping conflict, but transforming it, seeking to heal rather than to harm." Layla studied him with curious eyes. "You are not like the others. There is something different about you, as if you see things that are hidden from the rest of us." "That is because I follow the light of faith," Tarek replied. "And in that light, all things are made clear." A new quest notification appeared. Quest unlocked. The path of the new types. Guide Layla Soon and others like her to understand their role in uniting humanity, not through dominance, but through compassion and understanding. Reward. Plus 500 experience. Skill unlock. Insight of the Awakened. As Tarek continued his conversation with Layla, he felt that the journey ahead would be one of great trials, but also of profound change. He had already begun to see the seeds of transformation in Amuro and sensed the potential for reconciliation within Layla. Yet he knew that the path to true peace was still long and fraught with challenges. For now, Tarek resolved to take each step with patience and courage, for the stars that stretched out before him did not merely represent the darkness of war, but the light of countless possibilities. A reminder that even in the vastness of space, the teachings of Islam could shine, guiding lost souls back to the path of truth and justice. And so, with every encounter, Tarek would strive to fulfill his role as a mediator of light, bringing the wisdom of the ages to a universe in need of healing. Chapter 02. Friend Fight. The white base trembled as the mobile suits launched from its hangar, engines roaring to life as they blasted into the cold vacuum of space. Tarek could feel the weight of the battle settling over the ship like a heavy shroud, and despite the serenity that he carried within, he knew that the hearts of many were in turmoil. His path lay not in the cockpit of a mobile suit, but in the corridors of human emotion, where conflict raged just as fiercely as on the battlefield. As Tarek walked the narrow halls, he came upon the mess area, where a tense confrontation was brewing. Two young men, their faces flushed with anger, stood nose to nose, their voices raised in a heated argument. One of them was Amuro Ray, still shaken from his recent sortie in the Gundam, while the other was Kaishur Din, a pilot whose cynicism often masked his deeper insecurities. Around them, several crew members gathered, some watching anxiously, others whispering in hushed tones. "You think you're special just because you pilot the Gundam, don't you?" Kai spat, his tone dripping with sarcasm. "You don't even want to be out there, yet everyone treats you like some kind of hero. While the rest of us risk our lives, you just do whatever you want." Amuro's hands clenched into fists, his eyes narrowing with frustration. "You don't understand, Kai. It's not like I asked for this. I'm doing the best I can, just like everyone else." "Your best?" Kai shot back. "Tell that to the people who've died because of your hesitation." Tarek's HUD flashed with a quest notification. Quest unlocked. The Rift Among Friends. Resolve the conflict between Amuro and Kai before it escalates, guiding both young men to a better understanding of their struggles. Reward. Plus 300 experience. Skill upgrade. Calm the storm. Improved conflict resolution. The notification disappeared, and Tarek stepped forward, placing himself between the two young men. He raised his hands in a calming gesture, his voice steady and gentle. "Brothers," he said, "do not let your anger blind you. This conflict between you is a distraction from the true struggle that lies ahead. It is not each other that you must fight, but the darkness that threatens to consume your hearts. Kai glared at Tarek, his anger shifting to suspicion. Who are you to tell us what to do? He demanded. You're just some stranger on this ship. You don't know anything about what we've been through. Tarek met Kai's gaze calmly, his expression unyielding but compassionate. You are right, Kai, he replied. I may not have fought alongside you in every battle, but I can see the pain that burdens your heart. You feel powerless, unsure of your place in this war, and so you lash out. But your anger at Amuro will not make that pain disappear. It will only add to the suffering that we are all trying to overcome. A new dialogue choice appeared before Tarek. Dialogue choice 1. Address Kai's fear and insecurity directly. 2. Appeal to Amuro's sense of responsibility to defuse the situation. 3. Speak about the value of brotherhood and shared struggle. Tarek chose the third option, knowing that both Amuro and Kai needed to be reminded of the bonds that connected them rather than what set them apart. Listen to me, both of you, he said, his voice carrying a solemn weight. We are not enemies here. The true enemy lies outside this ship, among the stars where hatred and pride drive men to madness. Do not let that same darkness seep into your hearts. This ship is not just a vessel. It is a community, and each of us is a part of it. We must learn to support one another, for no one can face this war alone and emerge unchanged. Kai's expression softened, though he remained visibly frustrated. It's easy to talk about unity, he muttered, but it doesn't change the fact that some of us are risking more than others. If Amuro doesn't want to be out there, then why should he get all the glory? Amuro took a step forward, his voice steady but tinged with the exhaustion of a reluctant warrior. Kai, I don't fight because I want to. I fight because there's no other choice. If I don't pilot the Gundam, more people will die. But that doesn't mean I don't feel afraid, or that I'm not struggling just as much as you are. Tarek noticed the flicker of pain in Amuro's eyes, the way his hands trembled slightly. It was the look of a boy who had been thrust into the role of a soldier before he was ready, a role that weighed heavily upon him. The HUD displayed another prompt. Skill activated. Calm the storm, level 2. Success chance increased. Emotional tension reduced by 25%. The tension in the room seemed to ease as Tarek continued to speak. Amuro is right, Kai. Each of us carries a different burden in this war, but that does not mean one is greater than the other. The courage to admit one's fear is no less valuable than the strength to wield a weapon. And the willingness to struggle for a cause greater than oneself is what truly defines a hero. Kai's shoulders sagged, the anger draining from his expression. He sighed deeply, his voice tinged with resignation. I suppose. I'm just tired of all of this. Tired of feeling like nothing I do matters. Your efforts do matter, Tarek assured him. Even if the battles seem endless, even if the victories are small, every moment of struggle brings us closer to understanding, to peace. That is why we must not turn against each other. The true victory lies in finding a way to heal, not just to survive. Amuro reached out a hand to Kai. I'm sorry, Kai. I didn't mean to act like I was better than anyone else. I'm just trying to figure this out, the same as you. Kai hesitated, then clasped Amuro's hand in a firm grip. Yeah, I guess I could stand to ease up a little. He glanced at Tarek. And maybe listen to you, at least a bit. A notification flashed on Tarek's HUD. Quest completed. The Rift Among Friends. Plus 300 experience gained. Skill upgrade. Calm the storm. Improved conflict resolution. Unlocked. With the immediate tension defused, Tarek felt a sense of relief. The encounter had not only resolved the dispute between Amuro and Kai, but also strengthened the bonds among the crew, however slightly. The path to unity was still long, but each step brought them closer to the light. As the group began to disperse, a familiar voice echoed in Tarek's mind. It was Layla Soon, reaching out to him with a sense of calm and curiosity. You speak to others as though you know their hearts. Yet even with all your wisdom, do you believe that words alone can bring peace? Tarek responded, his thoughts resonating through the connection. Words are a beginning, Layla, not an end. They are a means to open the heart and awaken the soul. But true peace requires more than words. It requires action, patience, and the will to change. Each moment of understanding brings us closer to that goal. Layla's voice was soft, almost wistful. I wonder if such a thing is possible in a world like ours. But I will watch and perhaps learn. Tarek's HUD displayed a new quest. Quest unlocked. The Awakening of the New Type. Guide Layla Soon on her journey to understand the deeper nature of humanity's struggle and help her realize her potential to bring unity to a divided world. Reward. Plus 500 experience. Skill unlock. Compassionate insight. As the white base continued its journey through the sea of stars, Tarek knew that his role was not just to fight, but to mend the rifts that divided the hearts of those around him. He understood that the true battle was not against the mobile suits of Zeon, but against the despair, hatred, and fear that plagued both sides of the war. For in this universe of war, Tarek would be a voice of reason, a beacon of light that shone not through the barrel of a gun, but through the radiance of a just and compassionate heart. And with each step, he would continue to bridge the gaps that separated friend from foe, reminding them that even amidst the darkness, there was always the possibility of a brighter dawn. Chapter 03: Learning How to Pilot a Mobile Suit. The white base floated silently in the vastness of space, a solitary vessel amidst the distant glimmers of stars. Within its walls, the hum of machinery and the murmur of the crew filled the air, as preparations for the next inevitable skirmish continued. Tarek stood in one of the ship's observation decks, gazing out at the endless expanse. He could feel the weight of his journey upon him, the challenges that lay ahead and the trials he would need to face. Yet, he did not see his role as purely one of words and mediation. He knew that there would come times when action would be necessary. In this universe where mobile suits determined the fate of battles, it became apparent to him that he needed to master these machines to carry out his mission. His HUD provided a prompt as if reading his thoughts. Quest unlocked: Becoming the pilot. Learn to pilot a mobile suit to understand the mechanics of war and gain the ability to fight when necessary. Reward: plus 400 experience. Skill unlock: Piloting, level 1. The path to peace required understanding not only the hearts of men, but also the instruments they wielded. With a firm resolve, Tarek made his way to the hangar, where the Gundam and other mobile suits stood ready, their metallic frames towering over the crew members who maintained them. The RX-78-2 Gundam, in particular, seemed to gleam with a strange radiance, as though it were more than just a machine, an embodiment of the hopes and fears of those who fought for survival. Amuro was already in the hangar, speaking with Bright Noah about the status of the repairs and upcoming sorties. Tarek approached, his expression determined, but tempered with humility. He did not wish to impose, but knew he needed to learn. "Amuro," Tarek called, drawing the young pilot's attention. "I need your help." Amuro looked at him, his brow furrowing slightly in curiosity. "Help with what?" he asked. "You're not thinking about fighting in a mobile suit, are you?" "It's not as easy as it looks." Tarek gave a slight nod, acknowledging the difficulty. "I understand that it is no simple task," he said. "But if I am to help guide this ship and its crew, I must be prepared for all challenges, even if that means learning to pilot one of these machines." He paused, choosing his words carefully. "Will you teach me, Amuro? Help me understand what it means to wield such power." Amuro hesitated, taken aback by Tarek's request. It was true that the Gundam required a skill set that few could master, and those who did often found themselves burdened by its destructive potential. Yet something in Tarek's eyes told him that this was not a pursuit for glory, but a genuine desire to learn and serve. He glanced at Captain Bright, who gave a small nod of approval, then returned his gaze to Tarek. "All right," Amuro said, his tone softening. "I'll show you the basics. But remember, piloting a mobile suit isn't just about fighting. It's about protecting those who can't fight for themselves." Tarek bowed his head slightly in thanks. "I will remember your words." As Amuro led him toward one of the smaller mobile suits used for training, Tarek's HUD displayed a new notification. Skill tutorial initiated. Piloting 101. Objectives: learn the basics of mobile suit operation, including movement controls, weapon systems, and defensive maneuvers. Reward: plus 100 experience. Skill unlock: Piloting, level 1. The training mobile suit was a GM trainer variant. Its design less complex than the Gundam but equipped with all the necessary functions for a beginner to grasp the fundamentals. As Tarek climbed into the cockpit, the hatch closed behind him, sealing him in the confined space. His surroundings lit up with the soft glow of digital displays, and the HUD adjusted, overlaying various indicators across the screens: speed, power levels, weapon status, and radar readings. Amuro's voice crackled through the comms. "All right, Tarek. The controls in front of you will move the mobile suit. The pedals control thrust, while the joysticks manage direction and orientation. Try moving forward slowly." Tarek grasped the controls, his hands steady but aware of their inexperience. He pushed gently on the right joystick, and the mobile suit lurched forward, its thrusters firing in short bursts. He felt the machine's weight and inertia as it responded, not quite smoothly but not entirely unmanageable. He eased up on the throttle, bringing the mobile suit to a gradual stop. "Good." Amuro's voice came through again, with a tone of mild approval. "Now try adjusting your pitch and roll. You'll need to get used to moving in all directions, especially in space where there's no gravity." Tarek took a deep breath and moved the joysticks as directed, tilting the mobile suit upward, then to the side. The sensation was unlike anything he had experienced before, the freedom of movement mixed with the ever-present awareness of potential danger. It was as though he was learning to walk for the first time, his mind struggling to harmonize with the machine's motions. Yet, step by step, or rather, thrust by thrust, he began to feel more attuned to the controls. A new quest prompt appeared in his HUD. Skill progression. Piloting. 10% mastery. You have begun to understand the fundamentals of piloting a mobile suit. Continue to practice basic maneuvers to increase proficiency. Tarek's training continued as Amuro guided him through a series of exercises, moving through rings set up as waypoints, evading simulated projectile fire, and targeting mock enemy units. The more he practiced, the more he understood the delicate balance required in piloting. It was not about brute force, but a measured application of power and finesse. Remember, Amuro instructed, a mobile suit isn't just a weapon. It's an extension of the pilot's will. If you're not calm, the machine won't respond the way you want it to. Tarek took those words to heart, drawing upon the teachings of his faith. The remembrance of Allah's guidance echoed within him, urging him toward patience and mindfulness. His thoughts drifted to the story of Hazrat Umar Farooq, who, despite being a warrior, believed deeply in the pursuit of justice and compassion above all else. Skill activated. Inner calm. Level 1. The pilot's ability to maintain composure under pressure is increased. Control sensitivity improved by 15%. The effect was immediate. As Tarek focused on maintaining an inner state of tranquility, the mobile suit's movements became more fluid, as though responding not just to his commands, but to his intent. Each motion seemed to flow naturally, and even the weapon systems felt like an extension of his thoughts. Amuro's voice crackled through again, now with a hint of surprise. Not bad, Tarek. For someone who's never piloted before, you're picking this up pretty quickly. Tarek offered a humble reply. All skill is a gift, and every gift has a purpose. I only wish to use it for what is right. With the fundamentals mastered, Amuro suggested the next step, a sparring session against a remote-controlled mobile suit that could simulate basic combat maneuvers. Tarek accepted, understanding that to fully grasp the responsibilities of piloting, he would need to face situations where life and death hung in the balance. The simulated opponent came online, its thrusters igniting as it launched into space. Tarek's HUD displayed its position, along with a list of potential attack patterns and counters that he could employ. Amuro watched closely from the observation deck, prepared to intervene if the situation grew dangerous. The simulated mobile suit came at Tarek with a sudden burst of speed, its beam saber drawn. Tarek maneuvered his own mobile suit to the side, narrowly avoiding the strike. He responded with a volley of beam rifle shots, forcing the opponent to pull back. But as the simulated enemy circled around, Tarek's HUD flashed a warning. Incoming attack. Evasive action required. Reacting on instinct, Tarek activated the thrusters to propel himself downward, dodging the beam shot by mere meters. He countered with a swift upward slash of his own beam saber, scoring a direct hit on the simulated opponent's shield. The impact sent a shudder through his cockpit, but the sensation brought with it a newfound understanding. This was not a mere simulation of combat. It was an opportunity to truly connect with the experience of those who fought. Tarek's HUD displayed a new prompt. Skill progression. Piloting. 35% mastery. Combat proficiency improved. Ability to read enemy movements increased by 20%. As the sparring session drew to a close, Tarek disengaged the training program and allowed the mobile suit to drift gently back toward the white base. The sensation of weightlessness, the stillness of space, all served as a reminder of the larger journey that lay ahead. Amuro's voice crackled in again, carrying a tone of approval. You did well, Tarek. You're starting to understand what it means to pilot a mobile suit. But remember, there's always more to learn. Tarek nodded as he removed his helmet, stepping out of the cockpit with a sense of accomplishment tempered by humility. Thank you, Amuro, he said, for teaching me not just how to pilot, but the importance of knowing why one fights. As Tarek left the hangar, he felt a mix of exhilaration and humility, the thrill of his newfound skills tempered by the heavy realization of what it meant to wield such power. The corridors of the white base bustled with activity, crew members rushing about to prepare for the impending mission. Tarek took a moment to observe them, noticing the determination etched on their faces and the shared burden they all carried. He was not just a pilot. He was part of a community bound together by hope and struggle. Chapter 04. A Call to Action. The briefing room of the white base was alive with a mix of tension and determination. Crew members filled the seats, their faces illuminated by the dim lights overhead, casting shadows that danced across the walls. Captain Bright Noah stood at the forefront, his expression resolute as he prepared to address the team. Tarek leaned against the wall, feeling the weight of the moment pressing down on him. Listen up, everyone, Bright began, his voice commanding yet measured. We've received intel indicating that Zeon forces are planning a significant offensive on Colony Side 3. They aim to crush any resistance and claim the colony for themselves. We cannot allow this to happen. A murmur of concern rippled through the crew, each person acutely aware of the implications. Tarek's heart raced as he thought of the innocent lives at stake. The urgency of the situation made it clear to him that they needed more than just firepower. They needed unity. As Bright continued outlining their mission, Tarek felt a stirring within him, a desire to foster peace even amidst the chaos of war. "Amuro, I need you in the Gundam," Bright said, turning his focus to the young pilot. "You'll be our front line. The rest of you will provide support. This won't be an easy fight, but I believe in this crew." Amuro nodded, determination flickering in his eyes. Yet, Tarek noticed a hint of trepidation lurking beneath his bravado. He sensed that there was more to the story, an underlying tension that had not yet been addressed. "Captain," Tarek interjected, stepping forward, "if I may, I believe there is a matter that needs to be resolved before we engage in this battle." Bright raised an eyebrow, intrigued. "What do you mean, Tarek?" Tarek hesitated for a moment, choosing his words carefully. "The conflict between Amuro and Char Aznable is not merely personal. It's a reflection of the larger struggle between our two factions. If we can find a way to resolve their animosity, it might not only strengthen our resolve, but also weaken our enemies." Bright nodded thoughtfully. "You think we can broker a peace between them?" "I believe we must try," Tarek replied firmly. "Char Aznable is a formidable opponent, but I have seen the potential for understanding in both of them. We need to confront this divide, to remind them of what is truly at stake. It's not just about pride or revenge. It's about the people who suffer in this war." The room fell silent, the crew exchanging glances, weighing the possibility of Tarek's suggestion. Amuro looked at Tarek, uncertainty etched on his face. "Do you really think it's possible? Char won't just listen to anyone, especially not me." "Sometimes, it is the most unexpected paths that lead to peace," Tarek replied, remembering the teachings of Rumi. "Words can hold the power to heal wounds that weapons cannot touch. Allow me the chance to speak with Char." Bright studied Tarek for a moment, the flicker of doubt giving way to a sense of hope. "Very well. If you think this will help, I'll give you the opportunity. But remember, this is risky." Tarek nodded, determination igniting within him. "I understand, Captain. I will approach this with the utmost care." The meeting with Char. Later that evening, the White Base prepared for its mission. Tarek made his way to the hangar, where Char Aznable's mobile suit, the Zeong, stood looming like a dark shadow against the bright machinery of the Gundam. He felt a mix of apprehension and purpose as he approached the cockpit, knowing that the man within was both feared and respected. As he reached the base of the mobile suit, he activated the comlink. "Char Aznable," he called, his voice steady yet respectful. "It is Tarek from the White Base. I seek a moment of your time." After a brief pause, Char's voice crackled through the comms, cool and composed. "What do you want, Tarek? If you're here to plead for your friend, save your breath." Tarek took a deep breath, centering himself as he recalled the words of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, about kindness and wisdom in speech. "I am not here to plead for Amuro or to argue over past grievances," he began. "I am here to speak on behalf of peace and understanding between our two factions. War has a way of clouding judgment, but in the end, it is the people who suffer the most." There was silence on the other end, and Tarek sensed Char's curiosity even beneath his icy demeanor. "You think you can change my mind? You think you can change anything?" "I do not seek to change your mind, Char," Tarek replied, his tone firm but gentle. "I only ask you to listen. You and Amuro share a complicated history, shaped by conflict and loss. But what if, instead of enemies, you chose to be catalysts for peace? Imagine the impact you could have if you worked together, even for a moment, to find common ground." Char's silence stretched, and Tarek pressed on, feeling the weight of the moment. "You have fought valiantly for your cause, and Amuro has done the same for his. But the cycle of hatred will only lead to more suffering. As Muslims, we are taught that the path to true strength lies in justice and compassion. This is not a time for revenge. It is a time for reflection." Finally, Char responded, his voice softer but still guarded. "You speak of compassion, but this war has cost me dearly. Can you truly understand that?" Tarek nodded, feeling the depth of Char's pain. "I may not know the full extent of your suffering, but I know what it means to protect those we love. We share a common humanity, Char. You seek to protect your people, and so do we. But that cannot be achieved through conflict alone." Char's cockpit opened slowly, revealing the enigmatic figure within. His crimson uniform contrasted sharply with the cold metal of the mobile suit. "And what do you propose, Tarek?" Tarek took a step closer, his heart racing. "I propose that we acknowledge our shared struggles. Let us meet on neutral ground, away from the battlefields. Give Amuro and me the chance to mediate, to find a way to work together for the greater good. It may seem naive, but sometimes, the simplest acts of humanity can lead to the most profound changes." Char regarded him, his eyes narrowing as he considered the implications. "You think I would just allow my greatest enemy to stand beside me? What if this is a trap? Then you will have proven your suspicions right," Tarek replied calmly. But if you choose to embrace the possibility of peace, you may find that there is more strength in unity than in division. Do not allow anger to dictate your actions. Instead, allow reason and empathy to guide you. A tense silence enveloped them as Char weighed Tariq's words. He remained stoic, yet there was a flicker of contemplation in his gaze. You are bold, Tariq, and perhaps foolish, but I admire your conviction. Very well. I will consider your offer. But make no mistake, if this is a ploy, I will not hesitate to respond with force. Tariq bowed his head respectfully. I would expect nothing less, Char, but I hope you will find the wisdom to choose a different path. Inshallah, we can find a way to unite rather than divide. As Tariq stepped back, he felt a glimmer of hope. Char's rigid exterior had cracked, if only slightly, and the prospect of dialogue hung in the air like a fragile thread. He returned to the white base with renewed determination, believing that perhaps, just perhaps, he had sown the seeds of understanding between two formidable adversaries. The final preparations. Back in the briefing room, Tariq recounted his conversation with Char to Bright and Amuro. He is willing to consider my proposal for peace, Tariq said, his voice steady with conviction. But it is up to us to prove that we can put aside our differences for the greater good. Bright nodded, admiration shining in his eyes. You took a bold step, Tariq. If we can foster understanding between Amuro and Char, it may turn the tide in this conflict. Amuro looked at Tariq, his uncertainty fading into determination. If Char is willing to listen, then I will too. I've never wanted to fight him. It's the circumstances that have forced us into this. With the mission looming, the team felt a renewed sense of purpose. Tariq understood that their next actions would not only shape their future, but also the future of countless lives affected by the war. He resolved to ensure that whatever happened, they would fight not just with weapons, but with the power of compassion and understanding, a lesson drawn from the teachings of Islam, one that could resonate beyond the boundaries of war. As the white base prepared for its next engagement, Tariq felt the weight of responsibility on his shoulders, but also the buoyancy of hope. He knew that the journey ahead would be fraught with challenges, but armed with faith and conviction, he believed that they could make a difference, not just for themselves, but for all those who longed for peace amidst the stars.